Welcome back to Q Dads, guys. Yes, you get to see my beautiful face for the first time in a long time. As you can see, we decided to do a face video as we're calling this the Year of the Dads. Like we do every year, we're going to really push on this year. We want to give you some different kind of content, some more raw content of what we're thinking about the show. Because obviously lots of things on the internet now are scripted and stuff, and we wanted to give you our thoughts sometimes, because sometimes me and Ben have mental, crazy thoughts. So we wanted to throw it out there. Anyway, as you've guessed from the thumbnail and the title, we want to talk about Ms Huang, Gemma / Miss Casey, whatever you want to talk about it. There's a big theory going on around there at the moment that Ms Huang is a clone of Gemma. So first of all, we're just going to talk about that theory a little bit, and then I'm going to break down what Ben's theory was and what my theory is, because my theory almost ties into it. But Ben was telling me I was an absolute mental person for my theory. He was like, this is a joke. This show isn't about clones and all that malarkey. He was like, no, you're just being silly now. In a show where you can sever your brain and have memories locked away, Ben was like, no, cloning's too far. Or, waffle parties with random dancers, but cloning, nah, you've taken it too far now, Stephen, is what he said. So anyway, a quick mention about the theory. So the clone theory goes, obviously, when Gemma was killed in the car accident, they managed to get some cells off her or something, or it's her own body originally. When she met Mark again, they were unhappy with the results, so they created a new clone and transplanted her memories into Ms Huang. Now, interestingly, when I was reading up on this, I did actually learn the actress is actually 18 years old. Obviously, I think her character is meant to be around that 14 to 16, but I thought that was quite interesting that actually the actress is 18 and just looks younger. So when Mark's saying, why is there a child here? Actually, are we just all really old now and we think everyone looks like a child? And maybe that's the case. Maybe to Mark she is, but actually she's an 18-year-old girl in that series. She does look younger, I will admit, but maybe that's the play. She's actually not a child and she's just an 18-year-old girl who looks really young and is severed and has nothing to do with any of the theories at all. She's not even related to Gemma. It's just we think she's a child because she looks really young, but actually they've just made her look young on purpose to throw us all off, and it's just an 18-year-old girl that's been severed, and that's it, and that's the end of it. Anyway, obviously that's the predominant theory at the moment, that she's a clone, and a clone of Gemma. Now, I don't think we're in a cloning process. I think that feels a bit too far-fetched, and not too far-fetched. I just don't feel like a clone scenario works for me. It feels a bit too cheap. Although my idea is not far off that. That does feel a bit too cheap. Anyway, Ben's theory is a little bit more grounded in reality, I guess. So Ben's theory is either Gemma was kidnapped, severed, and obviously the severed version being Miss Casey, is being forced to work, and they keep resetting her memories, which is why she was taken down to testing, and they brought her up to work with Mark for that few period, just so they can test if she remembers Mark or Mark remembers her, obviously testing the severed theory perfectly. His other take on this is actually Gemma left of her own accord, left Mark of her own accord, faked her own death because they'd had a child, or she'd had a child previously, and that is who actually Miss Huang is Gemma's child. It's probably not Mark's, it's Gemma's former love child, or whatever, however you want to explain it, and that's why she'd left and become severed. But again, that doesn't explain why they then had her introduced to Mark's Innie. Kind of, the twist on that is where it lacks. Now, I will say this, if you think about it logically, people have put out there actually maybe Miss Huang is Mark's child, but that is actually impossible in terms of times, unless something really weird has gone on with times in the outside world versus the inside world, and it's more than 5 months, it's been years and years and years, because Gemma is meant to have died 2 years before the start of the first series, and if we say we spent a year in the first series plus 5 months, say 2 years tops, there's no way Miss Huang can go from being born to 14 to potentially 18, whatever age they're aiming at. Even if she was 10, we're still missing some years there. So unless they've told the Innies the wrong thing and really something crazy's gone on, I don't think so. And think about it logically, the Innies can't have been asleep for like 10 years or something, because they'd have all aged massively, as they actually have the body from the outie, don't they? They share the same body. So clearly a big time jump can't have happened. Anyway, onto my theory, which I think potentially is the better theory, other than Miss Huang just being a random person who just looks really young and just got severed at the age of 18, which is possible in America, I guess. So So my theory is that Miss Casey or Gemma was severed before she died, and then obviously when she died, that's what gave Mark the idea to become severed. He's like, oh, my wife was severed before, I'm going to go and get it done now, split my memories. And actually, when she died, a bit like what they did with the guy from the first season, they went and extracted the chip from their head. And obviously, my speculation is that actually the severed memories live in the chip and not in the brain of the person. Ben doesn't think this is the case, but I genuinely do. I think actually the chip is the Innie. So if you took the Innie out of a person and put it in someone else, would that Innie just think they've just changed bodies or something? And this is where my theory leads. I think actually Gemma's body in the first series was either when she died in the car crash, she didn't actually die. She was brain dead and donated her body to science, at which point Lumen somehow acquired it because they knew she had an Innie. And then basically, when they take up the floor, the Innie took over. And although she's brain dead in terms of that side of her, actually the Innie can carry on living on. And my take on this is actually, if that is the case, what Mark and the team are doing in their little section is trying to rebuild Gemma's mind, and that's why they reintroduced Miss Casey to Mark's Innie, to see if that would have any kind of spark in her mind. Because that last scene in the last episode, where you see Mark's face, he drops some numbers in a box, and then it zooms in on Miss Casey's face or Gemma's face, and it looks like it says 68% complete, which again was Mark's quota. But what if that's her memories, or the section of memory that Mark's working on is her memory? And then it would explain why you get feelings around the numbers, because actually you're dealing with humans. You're dealing with a human consciousness that you're trying to put back together. I think that's a really smart idea. I don't think it's the case, really, but I'm not sure if it's the case, really, but that would be an amazing storyline, that actually Lumen aren't the bad guys, and we see all this crazy stuff happening, the waffle party and the ball and whatever else is going on, the goats. And actually, what if that is the case? And then you go, well, what about Ms Huang? For me, I think Ms Huang is Miss Casey, but not a clone. So I think they're able to grow bodies, which again, I guess is similar to the cloning process, but I think they can grow bodies. So they've grown a new body and then put Miss Casey's Innie implant into this. So actually, Miss Huang is Miss Casey. It's just obviously they don't want to use the image of Miss Casey anymore, because actually that would mess with Mark's Innie and he wouldn't know how to process this. So I think that's the case, and they're still keeping Miss Huang with Mark on purpose to try and spark memories. So maybe she actually knows she's Miss Casey, but she can't tell, because obviously it would start to mess things up massively. Now, either way, no matter what you look at it, the clone theory or my theory, they must have the ability to rapidly age things, or rapidly age these bodies that they're growing. Now, again, it does seem far-fetched, but when you look at the series as a whole, how Lumen works, why couldn't that be the case? I still can't fully know what year we're in, because I think we're around our time now. I'm sure I saw that Mark's character meant to be born in like 1978 or something. He's 40, so obviously that puts Lumen earlier. I'm not sure on that. I think I've just read that in bits and bobs, so I can't actually pinpoint the date. So I don't know if they actually have the ability to clone and rapidly age them. So that could throw it down. But yeah, my theory is they've really gone to a body. They've used Miss Casey's Innie chip in that body, and that's who Miss Huang is. Or all these theories are completely wrong, and Miss Huang is just a normal 18-year-old girl that just looks really young, and because she looks so young, she's gone and gone, well, I'm going to get myself severed, because, I don't know, maybe people keep taking the piss with it when she's working. She's like, oh, this is just a kid working with us, whereas when she's severed, no one asks questions, really, because the way Lumen works is you just get on with your job and do it. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments. What do you think? Do you think she's a clone? Do you think, like Ben, it's actually Gemma's long-lost child, or some child of Gemma, and Gemma never actually died, she just left on purpose because of this secret? Or do you think it's my theory where they've grown with a body and stuck the implant in there, and actually Gemma is brain dead and they're trying to rebuild her? Let me know your thoughts, which one of those you think's real. And also, let me know what your thoughts are on this face video. Is this something you like? Would you like to see us do more of these? As me and Ben have speculated, we might watch an episode and then immediately get on the camera and give you our thought dump, so you actually get a really fresh, unscripted take on what we thought of the episode. Is that something you'd like to see? Let us know. Thanks for watching, and as always, we'll catch you next time with something new.
Why are you a child?
Because of when I was born.